So we're learning about temperature change, and particularly when you have to deal with negatives. So one of the first questions we have, question 1, deals with a temperature was -10 and increased 7. What is the new temperature? Well, this question lets you actually look at this little app here and figure it out using the app. So if I start at -10, first thing you do is you take the blue line, which will control the starting temperature. We want to move it down to -10. So we're going to go down to -10. If you have a hard time moving it, you can use your left and right buttons on your computer keyboard to move it 1 degree at a time. And then to increase it, so I'm going to increase it by 7. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can look over here and I can see the blue one moved me down to -10. So I started at 0 and it went down -10. And then the green line shows me going up 7. And I can look and see what that line is at. It's kind of hard to read. So if you push equation, it will actually create an equation. We started at -10 and we increased 3, and that equals -3. So I want you to think to yourself, how could you find that without this little app? What do you know about add and subtract that you could use -10 plus 7 to equal -3? How and why does it equal -3? Okay. So what I want you to notice is that 10 minus 7 would have given us 3. So if you're in the negatives and then you're going back up to a positive, but you don't cross 0, you're actually getting smaller as you go towards 0. If you're starting in the negatives and you're going more negative, they get bigger. But if you're going the opposite direction, it gets smaller. So that's why you have to subtract to get the number. But we start at -10, but 7 wasn't enough to get us to a positive number, so it still stays negative. So without this, you could actually take -10 and then just do 10 minus 7, which is 3, and then realize you have to stay negative because you didn't increase enough to get to the positives. So the next example has 9, and I'm decreasing this time. So instead of an increase in temperature, I'm going to decrease with question number 2. So I'll start at 9. And I'm going to decrease. So instead of going in the positive direction, I want to go more down. Actually, I want to, not more down because I actually went up before. So I want to go down to -13. Because it says decrease 13, which we just learned decrease is the negative direction. I recommend trying to figure out where that's at using these numbers without using the equation and then use it to check. So we just learned that if you went in the positive direction, which means we were at 9, and then you're going negative direction, you can see as you go down from 9, it actually gets closer to 0. You're getting smaller. So 9, 8, 7, 6. And so if I get a smaller number, that's subtraction. If you remember from elementary, they would always say, well, you can't do 9 minus 13. So what we're going to do is still do 13 minus 9, which 13 minus 9 is 4. And then we ask ourselves, now was going down 13 enough to actually cross 0? And it looks like it is, so it's going to be negative. So I think it's -4, and I click the equation, and it is. So down here, I'm going to type in -4. I forgot to come in and put -3 for this one. -3. And that's how you do those ones, and then you can submit them. So I want you to practice a couple of these. Try writing down some equations in your notebook before they do it, and see if you got the right equation and the right answer. Because the next step, you won't have the app to check it with.